What's up, guys? Fans Talking MMA here to do our first prediction video on the channel. Today we'll be covering UFC Fight Night Machado Garry versus Prates. We're going to dive in comparing UFC stats with best fight odds to give you the best value for your money. We're starting with Jocelyn Edwards versus Chelsea Chandler. As usual in WMA, the best pick here is the over 2.5. Nobody gets finished unless it's submission. Here, I tend to think Jocelyn Edwards, the favorite, has this one covered. I don't see Chelsea Chandler doing much at all except, running around the octagon, doing not much of anything. Jocelyn Edwards is the pick. Timmy Kwamba versus Roberto Romero. Don't know this guy's name. He's a total NPC. Both of them are. They're both coming off losing streaks. Timmy Kwamba, I feel like Roberto Romero fought better competition. He lost, but only to David Onama, which is a much better strength of competition recently than Timmy Kwamba, who fought two jobbers. I'm going to go with Roberto Romero here, though. These are two NPCs, and it's probably a pass for me. Next, we got Polyana Viana versus Jacqueline Amorim. Amorim here is the obvious play. Anytime, Poly Viana's been tangled with Covington in the past, who we know how that's been going recently. I wouldn't touch Covington or Viana with a 5-foot pole at this point. Amorim is the pick, over 2.5. Although at 9-1, those kind of records tend to cover in finishing props, so it would probably just be moneyline Amorim here. Right, so which is what best fight odds are showing, -900, -850. So Amorim, but it's either parlay piece or pass. Malcolm Wellmaker versus Cameron Simon. Now, Wellmaker is coming off of Contender Series, I believe. Cameron Simon's a fairly tenured vet, even though he's only 24, I believe. Everybody's talking about the size difference in this one. I think Cameron Simon is skilled on the ground and on the feet, but much like that last Alexandre Topuria versus the Australian fight, the power difference might be too much here. To me, it's probably a pass, though I would err on the side of Simon for experience and skill set. Don't really have a strong take here, but probably Simon. Okay. Damon Blackshear versus Alatengili. One name Chinaman. We know how that goes. I would take Blackshear here. I think he has a grappling upside. He has one of the only 3 twisters in UFC history. He's a creative grappler. Unless he gets clipped on the feet, which at bantamweight typically doesn't happen at the lower echelon of the divisions, I would roll Blackshear here, even though, let's see, he's a -500 favorite. It's a really brave take by me. But I think he should be fine here. Don't really have an over-under take. I would probably just roll Blackshear money line in a parlay or a pass. Okay. Gutierrez versus Castaneda. Now, Gutierrez is on a losing streak, and he's how old is he? He's like 36 now, isn't he? So he is the favorite. I like Gutierrez. He has leg kick upside. He has some skills, but Castaneda is just like a typical MMA fighter. He's going to be in your face, doing what needs to be done. Gutierrez gasses badly, and at this point in his career on a losing streak, I would not feel comfortable rolling with him with the cardio issues. And I believe this is a 3-rounder, but even still, I'm going to roll with Castaneda here. Castaneda is the underdog. I like those odds. We're going to go Castaneda as the pick. All right, Evan Elder versus Gage Young. I'm going to be honest, I don't know who these guys are. I don't know what to say. They're 2 NPCs that they came in to fill advertising time. Yeah, we're skipping that one. No pick. Matt Schnell versus Jimmy Flick. Now this is a hardcore delay. Matt Schnell is the epitome of the guy who gets rocked and almost finished in every fight, and he somehow finds a way to come back and win if he does win. Now, this is a banger, of course, because they have lost both their last fights. They're both Americans with similar reach. Schnell has relative reach advantage. I do not have a strong pick in this take. The odds are saying Matt Schnell -180, just about -175. I'm probably going to roll with Jimmy Flick as the underdog in this one. It's probably a no bet for me, but Flick is the underdog. Okay, now we get past those bum fights. Time to get into the main card. Ikram Aliskerov versus Andre Muniz. Now, Iliskarov is a massive favorite here, minus 550, which I think is justified. Muniz isn't a terrible fighter, but I do think his record's a little bit overinflated, fighting some tomato cans. Iliskarov got finished by Whitaker. I believe that might have been his last fight, but Iliscarov's a beast. Yeah, because he only lost to Chimaev and Whitaker. Iliskarov is a beast. I think he had to cut weight twice in a short time span for that Whitaker fight due to short notice opponent change. I think that's a one-off. I think he rolls here as minus 550 favorite. I would probably look at finishing props for Iliskarov because he's a KO artist of the highest order. I don't think Muniz is going to survive this one. I think Iliskarov rolls at minus 550. I think I'm fairly confident, pretty confident in that one. All right. Bad boy Randy Brown versus Nicholas Dalby. Now, there's been a lot of Randy Brown love. This guy, every fight he's in, he comes in at like a minus 220 favorite, but his volume's sometimes a concern. His last fight was against the kid from Charlotte. What was his name? Oh, Brian Battle. Yeah, and he looked good in that fight against Brian Battle. Brian Battle was a weight bully in that one, didn't even try to cut weight, so he was just weighing on him, and it was still a close fight. So Randy Brown's in good form recently. Dalby, I think, is a little bit slept on. I think he's a good fighter. I think he has power. I think he can grapple a little, enough to, not get himself in a bad situation. Intelligent enough. I think he could clip Randy, but Randy does have a good chin. Initially, I was thinking Dalby for the odds because he does have good odds as an underdog, plus 220. That's pretty good. I don't know if I'd lay minus 275 on Randy Brown, anything like that. I think if you got Randy at the open at minus 220, that's probably a good line. It's probably going to be a 29-28 decision, if I had to guess. Randy Brown by decision would be my bet here, if anything. All right. Michel Pereira versus Abus Magomedov. Now, Abus Magomedov, I'm big on him in this fight. I've been known to fade Pereira, and I've been known to lose there. But Abus Magomedov has had a change in his career. He was a champion in a different organization. He fought Strickland. He got humbled. He gassed out too quick. But Michel Pereira also doesn't have the greatest gas tank. I think Abus, with the reach advantage, is going to come into play here. He's not going to get caught by some dumbass flying knee. I think Abus is the clear side in this one at plus 120. 27-6, the record speaks for itself. I mean, this guy's a killer. He had a bad run against Strickland, and I believe he's on a winning streak since then. I'm going to go with Abus Magomedov here. David Onama versus Giga. Now, full transparency, at the time of recording this, I saw that Giga had missed weight for this. So once again, he's having issues with the weight cut. I don't think that is going to help him out much in this one against Onama, who was the favorite at open, and it looks like these lines haven't moved yet. So I would feel comfortable in hitting Onama here. Onama's a good fighter, man. He's consistent. He's 13-2. He, with the same reach and the same leg reach, crucially. I know Giga likes to fight long, but he can't really fight long against Onama. I don't really see what advantage he has here. Granted, I said that against Cater, and we remember how Cater handled that. So I'm not going to make the same mistake twice. The pick here is David Onama. Anthony Smith, oh boy, versus Zhang Mingyang. I would take Zhang Mingyang or just about any taxi driver on earth right now to beat Anthony. I mean, he couldn't beat the home intruder in his house, untrained. Granted, I guess he was on meth or whatever it was, but not a good look, Anthony. And since then, he's been reeling. He had the loss of his teammate that's been weighing on him, that we all feel for him on that. However, he's not in the right headspace to be fighting at a UFC level anymore. Should have been the champ, man. Should have taken the DQ against Jones. God, what a world where Anthony Smith is champ. But no, we're going to roll with Zhang Mingyang here. I think he probably gets it done by finish. I think Anthony curls up into the turtle shell, as he always does. And that's how he'll be remembered, as the lion heart that, turtles up. So just getting his ass beat like a true professional. So minus 520, I think, is justified for Zhang Mingyang. Main event time. Ian Garry versus Carlos Prates. Now, I've been thinking about this fight quite a bit over the last week or so. Waffling back and forth. I like Gary's skill set better here. I think he has the grappling advantage clearly. I think he has the gas tank advantage against Prates. Now, I believe this one is 5 rounds. Don't quote me on that, but if it's 5 rounds, I definitely favor Garry. I think Garry can mix it up, kind of do what he did to MVP, take Prates down, hold him, and that grappling will tire out Prates, who's, fresh off of ripping like a 30-pack of cigs. I think what Garry's assessment at the presser was kind of valid. How Prates has, the straight left leg, the knee. He is kind of a one-sided fighter, and I think Garry can mix it up and capitalize on that. Take, advanced angles on the takedown attempts, or even like stay in the clinch. Now Prates is good in the clinch with the knees. Don't get me wrong and all that, but I think Garry's length will serve him here to not get caught by those knees. I think he's good at retreating on. He has good footwork. I think he'll frustrate Prates with the distancing, and in the pocket, I don't think Garry's completely outmatched either. Now, of course, we all want Prates to win, but I just don't see it here. I think Garry covers this line at minus 130-ish, minus 142, minus 150 is getting a little greedy as we're looking over here on best fight odds. But I think Garry's the pick here. I mean, he I don't want to call it a war, but he went to a tough fight against Shavkat Rakhmonov, who I think would eat Prates alive. MMA math, I get all that, but Garry's the pick. I see this almost similar to Volk versus Lopez, where one side has the complete power advantage, but Prates has no grappling. So I think if it gets to the ground at all, I think Garry's going to stall out rounds and just win minutes here. I like Garry. So, all right, that kind of wraps up the card for our first predictions video. Enjoy the winnings. Goodbye.